This is Donna, and we are live in Cincinnati, Ohio at Lori Foster's Reader and Author Convention, or Get Together they call it. So I am thrilled to be with Stefanie, and she's going to share a little bit about herself and her books, and then she's agreed to answer some questions. So Stefanie, tell everybody about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Stefanie London. I have a bit of an accent, if you couldn't tell. I'm from Australia, originally from Melbourne, but currently I live in Toronto, in Ontario, in Canada, which is super exciting. I love it there. And this is my first time doing a Facebook Live with someone else, so that's exciting, and first time at the conference as well.
Oh, good. So share a little bit about your books for people that might be new to your writing.
Okay, so I like to say that my books are like a Sandra Bullock movie, but with sex. So they're kind of rom-com, they're funny, they're lighthearted and uplifting, usually set in the city, because I'm such a city girl myself. And some of my books are set in Australia as well, so nice to get a bit of a different cultural aspect.
Yeah, very good. All right. So I was going to ask if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
Finish the book.
Oh.
Yeah, really important. I think a lot of people when they start out, it's sort of, you learn so much so quickly, and every time you learn something new, you're like, I'm going to put this in my book and make it better, and you sort of spin your wheels a little bit, kind of going over and over and over. And I think it's just get the book done. Anything can be fixed, but it needs to be on the page first.
That was very good advice. Yeah. So did publishing your first book, did it change your writing process or how you approached it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, I did a NaNoWriMo for my very first book, just because I'd never written anything before, and I was like, oh, that's a good motivation. And so I just wrote and wrote and wrote and had planned nothing, not a single thing. And so now when I sell to publishers, I have to give them a synopsis. So I'm like, oh, what, you mean I need to know what the ending of my book's going to be? So I have to figure that out. So yeah, I do more planning than I used to when I started, but I'm definitely not someone that plots out every little aspect, because if I do that, I kind of get bored and then I don't want to write the book. So yeah, I do more planning than I used to, and I really think more about the tropes, and now that I've written so many books as well, how can I make it different from what I've done before?
Yeah. So how many books have you written now?
I'm going to have 20 out by the end of the year.
Wow,
yeah, so few.
So exciting. So do you have more stories in your head?
Yeah, I have a little folder on my computer where anytime I get an idea, I'll just email it to myself, and then I drop it into that folder, and I just have a list. All these, even this weird little things that I see, conversations that I overhear, anything that sparks an idea.
Wow. So did you always know you wanted to be a writer?
Yeah, I think so. I've wanted to be a writer since I was since I figured out that people wrote books when I was 5. And my mum has the first book that I ever wrote when I was in primary school. It was about cats, and I illustrated it as well, and she still has it. And then I went through my phase of writing rip-offs of Sweet Valley High when I was 11 and 12. And even in my corporate career, I was in communications and training, so I wrote training manuals and newsletters and emails, and so I've always written. Yeah.
So do you think that your experience in the corporate world, did it help your writing be better?
I don't know. I don't know if it helped my writing to be better, but I think it helps with a lot of other aspects of being an author. So I actually deliver a lot of workshops now. I'm starting to teach other people how to write, and that has really helped because I was a trainer for a long time. So I definitely use a lot of those skills in aspects of being an author. But I think sometimes business writing is just so different to fiction writing, because everything is so stripped down and so basic that when I started writing fiction, it was a little bit like that, and I had to really think about how to dig into the emotion. Yeah.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
So if anybody wanted to look up for your training, where would they find that?
Oh, I don't have anything online yet. That's something that I'm definitely working on. Any writers who are watching, I'm going to be attending the writing conference for Toronto romance writers in September. I'm going to Moonlight and Magnolias in Atlanta later in the year. So yeah, I'll be delivering some workshops at those places, but I'm going to start putting stuff on my website very soon.
Very good. Yeah. I know people are always looking, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so that's great. So I'll ask, since we're at the conference, I loved your article, which is one of the reasons I just had to meet you, is your tips for introverts at a conference, because most are. They just are. So what are some tips that you give both the reader and the writer?
Okay, so find an extrovert and make friends with them. That's my number one tip. So I'm rooming with Regina Kyle, who's a fabulous romance author, and she is very extroverted, lots of personality. We've been friends since before we were published. And she's the one that told me to come to this event because I just will get in my writing cave and stay in there otherwise. So find someone that's a little bit more outgoing or someone that knows a lot of people and just say, hey, I'm shy, can you introduce me around? That really helps. I give myself little goals, like achievable little goals. So it might be talk to one person while you're waiting in line to get your food or a drink or something. And I think just remember too that everyone's here because we love books. So you already have like inbuilt conversation with people. If you're a writer, just ask what other people are writing. Be a good listener and ask questions, and then often that will kind of get the conversation going. And I mean, for the most part, 99.9% of people at these things are so friendly and welcoming that you just, you know, just kind of package up that fear and put it aside for a couple of days, and then you can go and be a hermit when you go back home. That's what I do.
I think a lot of people are already planning that. Like,
I get home and I'm like, I love you, husband, please don't speak to me.
I did a few times.
Yeah.
And you know, when I had a really good friend say, it just takes 5 seconds of courage to, you know, initiate that conversation or something like
and
that.
even ask for tips from people who are a little bit more extroverted. And often the thing that they will say is that, like, people are just, everyone, no matter how many books someone has published or how famous they are, they all started in the same spot, and everyone remembers what it's like to be that person. Just smile and be friendly, and if someone doesn't want to talk to you for whatever reason, that's fine. They might be busy. Just try again with someone else. It's, you know, it's really nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, I would agree. So that's all we're going to do on Facebook Live, but you're definitely going to want to come over and check out the blog within the next week. We'll have it posted, and we're going to ask her what would people be surprised to know about her. So we'll see you later. Bye. Hey, Aunt Liz.